welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. Welcome to the family. We chose this one. This is episode 372, Ewoks, The Battle for Endor from 1985. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe, too. And this episode's brought to you by Sin and On, where only the damned want in. In 1970, George Lucas needed dozens of actors with shaved heads for his sci-fi dystopian movie THX 1138, so he called the sober utopia of Sin and On.
Well, shout out to Sin and On. Before we started recording, you said it's going to need context. I know exactly how you Google how we found that, how that sponsor, found us. So I'm hip to it. With us today, okay, so I think it's very important. I had sort of been thinking about, like, we talk about Marvel a lot in the show. We talk about a lot of franchises. We talk about Star Wars from time to time. It makes all the sense in the world for us, our first foray into Star Wars, to be
ever
second Ewoks movie, a TV special. Boy, oh boy. Anyway, this is the entry point. What is funny, and I will introduce our guest in a second, even though everybody who is listening to the show already knows who's going to be on here. If you look at the top comment on the YouTube video for this, it says, at least it's better than the Disney sequels. And then if you look at reviews on
the Disney sequels,
ones, and if you look at reviews for this on Letterboxd, it's like, at least it's better, or at least the Disney sequels are better. It's just like Star Wars fandom is just like, nobody can agree on everything. Just like, whatever this is sucks, but it's still better than everything else. It's like, I don't know, man.
No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
There was a really good tweet that I saw that said, it was independent of the quality of his movies, but he said, shout out to Rian Johnson for doing two things. Number one, taking hundreds of millions of dollars from Netflix to make just, I want to find the exact tweet, but it was just like nonsense detective movies, and then also for enraging all of Star Wars fandom.
What did they do to enrage all of Star Wars fans? I'm not hip to the...
Oh, he made The Last Jedi, which is the best Star Wars movie.
The greatest Star Wars movie of all time, yeah.
I'm glad that Heather agrees. That's very exciting. It's genuinely my favorite one. But anyway, with us today, you heard her voice, Heather Antos. Hello, Heather.
Hello. How are you guys?
I'm so glad to have Heather on today with us so she can help me unpack what this is.
Now, Joe knows nothing about this movie.
Anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this movie until I started researching. Before we get to you and this in particular, Joe, what's your history with Star Wars? I don't know what you and Star Wars, the history is.
I pretty much only act as if the first three exist.
And by the first three, you mean 4, 5, and 6?
Yes, yeah. The original trilogy, yes. Just because, like, I think I've said it on here before, but I'll say it again for Heather's sake, that this was something that, like, my dad's brothers definitely loved Star Wars. My dad definitely had seen them, but it wasn't, like, one of those things, like, that he had given to me or passed down to me or watched with me. And so, like, I eventually just, like, found them on my own as, like, a young, early preteen
As a young
teen.
Padawan.
A young Padawan, and I was like, yeah, okay, these are kind of cool. I don't understand why people fucking love them so much, but, like, sure. So, like, I watch, like, the first three. Like, I'll watch, like, A New Hope a lot, but, like, for the rest of them, I've seen like, at 1 through 3.
Have you seen the other ones?
1 through 3, maybe once.
What about the new ones?
No, by that point, I was just like, I don't need to see these. I'm good. Yeah, it's like not, like, I don't hate Star Wars.
It's just not your thing.
It's just not my thing, and, like, I like space, I like fighting. It just doesn't hit for me for some reason. So,
did you have the Star Wars Episode 1 pod racing game for Nintendo 64?
100%.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, that's important.
That's very important and very cool, and it is awesome.
So here's the tweet. Discussing Film, our friends at Disgusting Film said Knives Out 3 reportedly has a budget of $210 million. The first film only cost $40 million. And One Dozen Rats at a Keyboard quote tweets and says, Rian Johnson makes all the worst Star Wars dipshits blood curdle just by saying his name, and he uses Netflix as a personal ATM while making Detective Foghorn Leghorn movies with Daniel Craig. I could not respect him more if I tried.
Excellent tweet. Well-founded. When you guys were saying about, like, when Heather was just saying that no one hates Star Wars fans more than Star Wars fans.
No. No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars
That's what I meant.
Fans.
Yeah, sorry. That's right. I was listening to something on the radio as I was driving to work today, and I heard somebody describe it as this. But they were talking about sports. It's the same thing, right? Like, nobody hates my team as much as I hate my team. This is like having an ugly baby. That, like, you carry around your ugly baby, you know the baby is ugly, and then one of your friends goes, hey, your baby's pretty ugly, and everybody's like, whoa, you can't talk about my baby like that. But he's like, but you know that the baby's ugly. You just have to defend it if somebody else says it. Mm-hmm. So you reminded me of that like little anecdote this morning that I really liked. Ugly baby is a good way to put this.
So now, Heather, you are a professional Star Wars.
You are a star. You are a star.
What is your relationship specifically to these Ewoks movies? Are these things that because they predate you being born, but did you grow up with these? Did you watch these recently? Because I think I vaguely knew they exist. Like, I know about Ewoks, but I don't know if I knew that these movies existed. But what is your tie to these two movies? Because this is the sequel. This is the second Ewoks movie.
Yeah, that was a great text I got from you the other day when you were like, "Are you good to record?" From what I am now learning is the second Ewoks movie.
How many of these were there?
2.
So there was 2.
And when did they come
85.
out? Where does,
this one came
No,
out.
but I mean, like, contextually, where did they come out?
So this is like 6 months before Return of the Jedi. So before the
second one did.
Yes.
So they released both of them in between?
No. They came out after the movies, but canonically they take place before Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, yeah. When did they release?
Because Return of the Jedi came out in theaters in 83, and the first Ewok was 84.
And this was 85. There was supposed to be a third one, according to Warwick Davis, who played Wicket, that main Ewok character. But
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I have some more information about that we can get into in a second. But
yeah.
Are these ones that you like? Because if you look on Disney Plus, where I watch this, they are listed as Star Wars Vintage, Ewoks, The Battle for Endor. So, like, I know they did, like, the whole canon reset a couple years ago. I don't know if this...
This was part of that, yeah. This was part of that in 2014 when they did the whole canon reset. So, yeah, I guess for context, for people who don't know, I've worked professionally on Star Wars for the last, 10 years in various... ways. So I'm a fan, one could say. Yeah, I mean, I always loved the Ewoks. I know the Ewoks can be a controversial species depending on your Star Wars fandom.
Mm-hmm. In what sense? I don't know. Give me the tea here. It's
just, some people find them really cute. Some people find them super obnoxious and annoying. It's like the Porgs in The Last Jedi, right? Like some people love them, some people hate them. And I think it really depends when you first encountered them. I first saw the Ewoks when I was a kid, and I thought they were cute and funny and kind of adorable. They're horrifying to look at now. And they're especially horrifying.
That's one of my first questions is are these not terrifying? Like the actual puppets of them.
They're horrifying.
They could be horror.
Oh, 100%.
In a horror film.
I had to, we were doing a comic that took place on Endor around this time, and I had to look up all the super high res turnaround reference of all of the puppets and models, and they're terrifying. They're the absolutely most terrifying creatures ever. And then you have the Marauders and all the other characters in these films that are equally as horrifying. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I watched this when I was a kid. I think it was on an old VHS recorded bootleg copy because you couldn't find it anywhere.
Awesome. Yes, we love that. What commercials do you remember that were in between it that you
I was very bummed that when they cut to commercials in this that there weren't vintage 80s commercials on Disney Plus.
I know, that would have been
Do you
great.
remember any of them? Because we always talk we've done a lot of movies like this because it's 80s cult movie lap, and a lot of people are like Garrett, what were you talking about, the Never Ending Story? He was like, yes, I remember every commercial that was on the VHS that I watched. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have any fond memories of a commercial or anything? If not, it's okay.
There was I feel like it was an Aquanet commercial with George Michael involved.
Awesome. Top tier.
Which is the most 80s that you can get.
In 2 ways.
Amazing. Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, is this my favorite Star Wars film I've ever watched? Absolutely not.
Yes.
Sorry. No, The Last Jedi. We already talked about this. There's this place of nostalgia with this movie that I love. I love it for what it is. It's fun and horrifying, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but a great diabetes commercial, just great diabetes commercial.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you get when you cast Mr. Wilford Brimley and his big old mustache. So here's the background for this movie. So it's again on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. Marauders raid the Ewok village and steal a power supply they believe to be magical. Wicket helps Sindel escape the evil witch Shiral.
By the way, I did not know that was a little girl till the very
She's not an Ewok.
last scene of the movie.
She's not an Ewok.
But no. I thought it was a little boy until the very last scene of the movie where they're like, she can go. And I was like,
you're so woke, Joe.
No, they're just children. Like they all are cherubic and like look the same. You know what I mean? Curly hair that's mid-length. Who knows?
And they befriend a hermit who may help them save the village. So it's written and directed by these guys, Jim Wheat and Ken Wheat, who are mostly horror writers. They directed a movie from 1989 called After Midnight. They wrote Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, which is one of the better sequels, which is wild to see that these guys made that in this. Joe, here's the connection I was teasing on a future Patreon episode.
Okay.
They also wrote Pitch Black.
What?
The first Riddick movie. So the guys who made this would go on to write the origin of the Furion everyone loves, Riddick.
Hello, creative. Wow.
Story by George Lucas, who was primarily involved in the design and editing stages. Produced by Thomas G. Smith, Edward Hirsch, and Ian Bryce. Ian Bryce in particular has done a lot. Shot by Isidore Mankowski, who shot Better Off Dead and The Muppet Movie.
I love Muppets.
Budget for this not listed, I think, because, it's the 80s and a TV
$5
movie. Kind of
in a
secretive.
dream.
Yes. But here is the big sort of like line in the sand.
The cocaine
budget. That's, I don't know that there's cocaine here, but maybe. Both Ewok films were some of the last intensive stop-motion animation work ILM produced, as it was being replaced by Go Motion, which is a more advanced form. However, the budget for this was so small, they're just like, you got to use stop-motion. You can't use the new stuff. You got to use the old stuff.
Makes sense, yeah.
But they also honed a new technique, and Heather, I'm sure you know about this, in photographing matte paintings called latent image matte painting, where live action photography is done over a section of the camera, or when live action photography is done, a section of the lens is blocked off, and a painting is crafted to occupy that space. So, like, there's
That's
some
very cool,
beautiful looking scenery.
Well, it's
in
like
this.
it's like the first evolution of green screen, essentially, is what that is.
That's so cool.
And we have the Ewoks to thank.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. That's awesome. That's really a good fact.
The film would then be rewound, the blocked areas reversed, and the painting photographed. Since the painting now existed on the original film, there'd be no generational quality loss, which is super cool. It's like, instead of doing it like after the fact, we're going to do it like literally on the film, which is wild.
Yeah, super fucking cool. Awesome technology.
I'd love to see that in practice, like to know how they did that, because it's so interesting.
It premiered the week of Thanksgiving on ABC in 1985. It premiered on November 24th, 1985, which is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. It was given a limited international theatrical release the following year, but didn't do very well at the box office. Wound up on home video in late 1987 and reissued again in 1988 and 1990. Not really on Rotten Tomatoes, not really on Metacritic, no crazy credits.
So you just had to watch it on TV and then like maybe see it in theaters a year later, and then it wasn't on VHS for another 2 years?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's cool.
Unless you had a bootleg copy.
Yeah, unless you just...
With George
that's
Michael.
true. Yeah, with George Michael and Aquanet, yeah.
So this is a sequel to Caravan of Courage, an Ewok adventure. And so Sindel is the main human girl from the first film who, after being orphaned, joins the Ewoks in protecting their village and defending the Marauders who have taken control of the Endor moon. Like Heather said, Warwick Davis said there was an Ewoks 3 being planned, but it was never made. Wilford Brimley, mentioning before diabetes, he did not get along with the directors Jim Wheat and Ken Wheat, so every time he's on screen, another guy directed
Which
it.
is so funny to me because he's in like 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
Like comes in, I think it's like minute 25. And he's a main like he's the other main human. Like he's a main character in this film, and to have the production designer direct his scenes. How do you cast someone that the directors don't get along with? Like I have so many questions. How the production designer doesn't get director credit? Like how does any of this happen?
I would imagine he was cast when things were good and then things got not good. I would guess, but I don't know. Who knows?
Wild.
So the only real interesting thing, chronologically, and Heather was saying this before, this takes place between Empire and Jedi, and some of the shots of the Ewoks prepping for the final battle are just from Jedi. They just took stuff from that and just put it in this. The kind of fun connection to other Star Wars properties is that the Marauders pack animals known as blurgs, am I getting that right? Blurgs, Blurrgs, were based on unused concept art by Phil Tippett, originally developed for the Tauntauns from Empire Strikes Back, and they pop up a couple more times in Star Wars stuff through time.
Which one are those? Like Wilford Brimley's buddy?
No. these things, the big things, the things you ride on, these things.
Oh, yes. I remember this. The one that he, like, lights the fire under. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
But they popped up in the first episode of Mandalorian. So they're just, like, they're still, like, taking things. But, like, basically stuff from this kind of sort of shows up in Mando, which is kind of cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
That's all the backstory, which is sort of, I mean, I guess I'm not surprised because there's a lot on Star Wars. But I'm surprised that, like, the sequel to a TV special. Heather, do you know, was the first one in theaters or was the first one also a TV special?
It was also TV. Yeah. It was all TV. Okay. Yeah, this was just like an attempt because George wasn't really involved. Like George was just kind of like, I had this idea of a thing, and then these guys were buddies with him and wrote it and made it.
So Joe, what did you think of Ewoks: The Battle for Endor?
It's his favorite Star Wars movie ever.
It's my favorite Star Wars movie ever. It was a movie. I don't know. Like, I want to talk about it. I have thoughts. I have questions. The puppeteering thing always brings a fondness to me because I feel like we don't see it at all anymore. Mm-hmm. So I always enjoy being taken back to like movies that heavily focus on puppeteering, just because it's like just a weird time that like I don't think kids today will understand. I like adventure. I was thinking a lot about adventure movies. I guess that this is sci-fi, but like I also don't know, do children anymore have adventure movies? We've been watching a lot of adventure movies for this lap, and I was thinking about it, like, now it's a lot of, like, superhero and things like that, but, like, do kids still have adventure?
They definitely, I think a little bit, but it's not like, you know, Adventures in Babysitting. It's not, you know, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It's not, like, stuff like that.
That's what I mean. So, like, there's a fondness in that sense for me. I would like to start by asking you guys a question, and I don't know if this will be offensive to Star Wars fans or not. Are Ewoks just the original Minions? Because they're fucking Minions, right? Like, it's just Minions.
They're way better than Minions.
But, I mean, Minions are just Ewoks, then. That's what I'm saying.
No, don't insult Ewoks.
Okay,
like that.
This is an offensive question. Okay, I thought that it might be, but
I definitely get how you like, you know, come to that
because they have their own spin-off movies. They kind of just bumble around and like make weird noises. Like if I think that Minions have to be inspired by Ewoks. Like they're the same thing.
No,
I think Joe, this again returns to your question about adventure movies and this. You're just not immersed in like kids culture, like
not at all. Absolutely not. I've said that before. That's me.
Like
I'm blind to it. Yes.
Like Star Wars, like Heather was saying before, every Star Wars movie has something that can be cute and merchandised.
100%.
Baby Yoda.
Understood. Yep.
Babu Frick, the best Star Wars character, Babu Frick. The little like Baldr, like BB-8 or whatever. It's like always something that's cute
Jar Jar.
and that kids are going to get drawn to. And I think in the 80s, when you have puppets and you have sort of stop motion, you have like whatever,
and you already have Neverending Story, and you already have all these things that
you
are
have
like
Warwick
exist.
Davis in a costume. That's what this is. And then Minions just become Minions. But
do you think boomers love Minions because they remind them of Ewoks?
No, boomers like Minions because they have no taste.
And Ewoks are definitely not Minions.
No, Ewoks are a creature of taste.
Okay, nice. I learned something there. Thank you.
Heather, what Joe was sort of alluding to is that this whole lap has been, the movies have been picked by two of our patrons, Josh and Michael, and this is the 80s cult movie lap, and just, it's kind of a bunch of 80s movies that they enjoy. Each episode we've been picking the most 80s moment. What about this? It doesn't have to be like, even like we're doing that in Fast and Furious movies. It doesn't even have to be something from the 80s, but like, what about this feels the most 80s to you? I don't know if I have one of those, but I will start by saying...
Feels or person or a vibe or a picture or an action.
The Night Sister, I can't... Charl, however you say her name. I don't know her name, but just her whole vibe is like hairband.
Okay, that character is... Now, I had to look it up because... This movie is two movies that I really like smashed together in certain ways. She is just Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers.
Sure, yes.
100%, right? Just like dead. Rita Repulsa is this character. Because, like, again, like I was watching this and like I don't have a lot of Star Wars reference. So, like, for me, I'm like thinking about what it reminds me of. So, like, the Ewoks are Minions. That's Rita Repulsa. And the power thing is just the Secret of the Ooze from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right? They're just like chasing around the last canister of Ooze.
Yeah.
Well, like half an hour into this movie, I was like, oh, there's not a plot.
No.
There's not a plot.
No, there's no plot. There's no plot whatsoever. It is like, I think what's fascinating about this movie to me, and I don't know if it's because it was being filmed and made for TV that this added to it, because you have TV time slots to fill. But like an hour and 40 minutes for a movie in 1985, that's a long movie.
Is it? I love the context.
Like,
because like we watch so many 2.5, 3 hour movies now for the podcast.
Right.
Good, the Fast and the Furious. It's like everything seems like very long. So like when we get to like 140, we're like, oh, this is short, but it's a TV movie. So yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, like if this is like geared for kids, you know, like it's 100 minutes, which is about as long as a movie would be for kids, you know, and like you're right, there is no plot. It's a lot of like running and chasing and running and chasing and running and chasing and running and chasing.
Because the plot is, loosely, Sindel's entire family dies in the first 10 minutes. Like, this girl goes from having a mom and dad and a brother to being
Can we talk about that for a second?
An orphan.
Can we talk about that for a second? Do you know that
we blaze through that in the movie?
Do you know why that is the case?
No.
Yeah, so it's because it's Paul Gleason, right? Who's her dad. The whole reason, so she's in the first movie, her family's in the first movie, and the George was like, you know, I think it would be great if she was an orphan in this movie. And so that's it. George thought it would be great to tell a story about an orphaned little girl, and that's how we got.
Kills her parents immediately, and we get the party started.
And she never talks about it until like the end of the movie. You know, the very, very end. And she's like, I miss them, and cries. And then he's like, don't miss them. They're in your heart. And she's like, okay, the movie's over.
Well, she has, Joe, like we just recorded a Patreon episode. It'll come out later this month for They Live, where there's like a magic watch that can open portals. Mm-hmm. She has a watch that has a light on it that says, is my mom alive or dead? And the light blinks and just like, well, I guess mom died. And she goes over. Her brother says, go find dad. Then she goes and finds dad, and then dad dies too.
Great.
I'm like, okay, so maybe she wants revenge, but she's like 4.
Nope.
I don't know how this is going to work.
Nope.
Heather as an editor, as a story editor knows, you need a goal. You need something to like go for. And so what happens is they get kidnapped. There's still like not a goal. Like just the bad guys get her and her Ewok friend, and then they escape. But they still don't have a goal. And then they just run off into the woods and they find a friend, but they still don't have a goal. And then
also,
the friend is like,
all
you
the
can't be
Ewoks
here.
Were kidnapped too. Like all of Wicket's friends and family, like, and they're just kind of like, I'm trucking along. Like,
25 minutes in, Wilford Brimley shows up. There's still not a plot.
Well, Rita Repulsa is trying to get the last can of ooze.
But we're not
like
following
from the beginning.
Her. We're
not
following Sindel and Wicket. And
yes.
so the enemy, the antagonist, can have a goal, but our main, like, that's like the B plot. Like, that's the secondary story.
You knew they were going to converge. It's just an interesting way to tell a story to children.
What story?
Yeah, what story? Because like 35 minutes in, they're like, let's go find Wicket's family, I guess. But like until that point, there's no like reason.
Well, so the movie can happen.
It feels like the story is kind of like they have to get the canister of ooze back, but they're just bumbling into that storyline. Like they don't know that that's the plot of their own movie, but that is the plot of their own movie, right?
She is 4, so that doesn't. You know, to be fair, again, she is like 4, 6, however old she is, and like when I was 4 and 6, I didn't know what the plot of my life was. I just did whatever anyone else told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yes.
Wait, Joe, did you say your 80s moment? I realized that we just sort of got
I did not say my 80s moment, and I have 2 things that I think are very 80s from this movie. I ran the first one by my friends to see if they felt the same. They disagreed for reasons that Heather might disagree. My first most 80s thing is there's a shot where like Wilford Brimley's like gearing up, and he has a lot of plastic double-side release buckles on his like shirt and backpack. And you know what? I haven't used one of those in like a decade. Like I have not used like a fanny pack style buckle that you like clip together. Like I feel like we've lost the plastic buckle, and that felt very 80s to me. So that was my first one. My second one is something that I just generally love about Star Wars and movies from this time, and that's when you have advanced technology, but they're using the technology that they have at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the oversized monitor that is like a toaster oven size or like a pizza oven sized monitor to have the one CRT screen that's like 5 inches big when we all have a phone in our hands that is like a screen. You're like, oh yeah, like I get that this is the future, but also in the 80s at the same time. So the TV and plastic buckles are my two 80s moments.
I'm going to get like super Star Wars nerdy.
Do it. That's why you're here.
Because you talked about the buckles, and so to get like super Star Wars nerdy about it, is technically, if this was made today, that couldn't be possible because in Star Wars, buckles, zippers, belts, things like that, like fasteners aren't a thing on clothing. Clothes just like are supposed to like drape on you, so you don't have like buttons or like fasteners or like buckles or things like that.
Ooh,
it's like
I didn't know
such
that.
Weird,
you would have to know this for the comics and things for like continuity.
Thing. Yeah, it's such a weird thing, but like,
so nobody has buckles on Star Wars clothes.
No, they also don't wear bras. That was a big George Lucas note. Bras don't exist.
Canonical.
Yeah, no, seriously, that was a.
I believe you, but that's like somehow still the horniest old man thing to do. You know what I mean? You're like no. In space, we don't have bras. You can't.
Literally,
have them wearing
he
bras.
says in space you don't have bras. It would strangle you. That was his thing.
Good job, bud. Way to sneak that one in there. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so so there's no pens because they're just going to use pencils in our space. We're going to make sure that they exercise to, and also no bras.
Yeah.
George, what?
He's like, yeah, dude, I was going through the list of things that they definitely don't have in space. Bras were one. No bras on any women,
bras,
please.
Top of the list.
My most 80s moment is something that I experienced in the 90s, but it was basically based on 80s media. Which I felt like every Saturday afternoon that you would put on like UPN or WB, you would see people fighting stuff in the forest.
Fighting in the forest is a great one, bud.
Like
that's
part
of my adventure.
This Xena Warrior Princess. It's like always just kind of TV level action. No offense to Return of the Jedi, but that movie just seemed like it was always on. But just like people just doing stuff in the forest and be like, that's action. And also like became Power Rangers, like you were saying before, Rita Repulsa. Like it just. We don't have a massive budget here, so we're just going to have like the sword fight here at the end, or whatever you want to call it, over Brimley. It's just like, okay, like we need action, but like we don't have like lightsabers or whatever, right? So that just feels evocative of the 80s, and also just me like thumbing through channels in the 90s. Like, what does this look like? What does this feel like? It's just fighting in the woods.
I like that. That's a good pick.
That's a good
pick.
Like yeah. Because that was the cheap way of getting like scenery. Without because
it looks naturally beautiful. You're just like just put them out there and people will be distracted.
Seems real. Should be easy to find a location. You just find any woods. I like everything about it.
He's got more important things to do, but I want Mark Hoffmeyer to watch this movie and track how many miles this little girl walks around, because like we were saying before, it's just her walking from here to here to here to here to here to here and then hiding. And then there is Teak, the speedy little creature who just like zips around. And Teak's covering some real ground,
terrifying.
Too.
Absolutely.
You think it's terrifying? Can I ask you? I'm so glad you're here. Why is Teak to have hyperspeed? Why does the little one have hyperspeed?
Why can't you wear bras in space?
No. I mean, like, no. Like, it's like, oh, they're a race of hyperspeed rats.
I'm sure that's it. I'm sure it's literally just that. There's not.
Okay.
We can't think too heavily about Star Wars.
That's like I know the boundaries in Fast and Furious. Like, what is like what is explained? What is it in Star Wars? I have no concept of like how far you can go.
Just don't.
Okay. Cool.
Like there is a literal witch in this movie, and there's advanced technology, but it feels like Teak kind of does this, like has a bigger advantage over everyone else, just because Teak is able to like zip around like fast. Instantaneously. Like he's like the Flash, and he's just like
he's
zipping
fast
around
and furious.
Mm-hmm.
He is. You're right.
The most Dom Toretto moment. I liked him. I mean, he's weird looking, but I liked him.
You think he's super creepy, Heather?
So creepy.
Over the Ewoks, you think the Ewoks are cute? This is conditioning. You've been bred by the Star Wars machine here, because I think that one's like kind of cute, and I think the Ewoks are terrifying, like animation, like puppetry stylings wise.
Well, no, and like my introduction to all of it was Return of the Jedi, and Return of the Jedi was my favorite Star Wars movie when I was growing up. That was my favorite of them, in part because of the Ewoks.
No, just like watching it like now and like not having any real feelings towards Ewoks or this thing. I was like, oh, that thing's kind of cute, and then I was like, Ewoks are pretty terrifying, but like I get that they are the like the draw or like the minions.
Stop
of them
it!
all.
Yeah, I'm gonna no, we can't.
I will say that my favorite, because I watch this with subtitles just because it helps me like keep attention. Like if I'm just like I'm reading, so like I'm paying attention.
Then I have a question for you when you finish this. Go ahead.
At one point, there's a subtitle that just says "Speaking Ewokese." Which I just love. It's like we're not going to even like tell you what it's saying. Just like they're speaking Ewok.
Yeah.
But it's Ewokese.
That's cool. I was going to ask you about that. And the second thing I'm going to ask you is I even put a timestamp in here. When Wolford Brimley puts the ooze canister into the receptacle.
I love that you called the ooze canister. I love that that's just what we're calling it now.
It's they call it the power.
It's the power,
so what the fuck's the difference? Does he say fuck? Joey, were you watching with subtitles? Because it's at 1:15:30 that like when he puts the canister and he looks around, he goes "fuck," and like he kind of says it under his breath. I thought so. I had to look up the rating on this movie. I rewound and watched it 3 times, and it sounds like he just puts it in and goes "fuck," like when he can't get it to work.
1:15:30.
1:15:30 around there, maybe 1:15:40, but that's when right when it is around. Like when he puts the thing in, you were watching with subtitles. But I don't know if that's why I was like, does he actually say it? I didn't turn them on. I'm an idiot to figure that out. But
Heather, can you speak Ewokese?
I can't. But you bring up another interesting thing though,
which is.
I don't know when the last time either of you guys saw Return of the Jedi was, but in Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks are speaking Ewokese. They're not speaking English, or Basic, as it's called in Star Wars. But this entire movie, they're speaking, like, Wicket is speaking English. And so it's like this big controversy within the Star Wars fandom that, like, why can we understand them? Why are they speaking English? If this is before the events of Return of the Jedi, and then when Leia, Han, Luke, whatever, show up on Endor, they can't understand anything that they're saying, and C-3PO has to.
They're lying.
Translate.
See,
so
I think they're just lying. They're lying to outsiders.
They could be,
and that's fine.
There's also this theory that it's just we're understanding them in English, but they're
actually speaking.
They're all
Ewokese
speaking a different
other.
language to each other. Yeah.
Yeah. I like them being catty and just being like, fuck these new people, like just not pretending. Or it's like, we don't understand you. And he's like, leave it. Because like that's a huge advantage.
It is.
Especially if you're like a small, like a small in mass race compared to like large humans. And they show up, you just be like, we don't understand them, but we can. And let's hear if they're trying to kill us or not.
Yeah. And then we'll eat them, which is what they do.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe, the official subtitle. It does sort of sound like it, but he says, come on.
Come on.
It
sounds like fuck, though, right? Doesn't it sound like he says fuck?
1:15:48.
Okay.
He, like, puts the ooze in.
Yeah.
And then he, like, spits on his fingers and goes, and he
fuck.
goes, he puts it, and it just goes, come on. I think it's the come on. No, he's not swearing in, like, this otherwise designed for any age to watch.
Oh, it's ugh, like ugh.
Come on.
I heard it as fuck. Come on, like he couldn't get it to work.
I do think it's funny that like he's there, like he's just living his life with Teak, and like every day he goes off in the woods, and nobody knows where he goes, and then Sindel just follows him one day.
What is he doing? What was he doing? Setting up traps.
Well, that's his Star Cruise that crashed there. I think he's trying to like repair it. And so he just goes out there and works on his car, basically. Like, he's Tom Toretto, but, like, he's like, I'm going to go in the woods and do some work. And then he just goes. But it's very convenient and very helpful for them that there's just a Star Cruiser nearby. But also, I guess that's why he's there in the first. Like, is that what happens, Heather? Is he in the first movie, too, or no?
No.
But they say that, like, it's his ship, and he arrived with the other guy, and then the other guy went off to, like, get out or something, and he's like, I'm going to stay close to the ship. He says it, like, early in the movie, like, when they first meet him.
Yeah, I don't...
Something along those lines.
Yeah, this was, like, his movie.
There is a very Fast and Furious moment in the scene, in the woods between Noah, who is...
Oh, when Ludacris shows up?
Ludacris
Did you see him yesterday?
Yeah.
Did you see it?
We'll
Did you see it, Heather?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's talking to Sindel about her family, and he goes, "They're in your heart," and it's just like, "Where's God? God's in your heart, baby." You know what I mean? Like it's just like
100%.
It's
I had
thing.
that exact same feeling, Joey. I have that in my notes as well. I'm 100% with you, bud.
And then Sindel's like, "Oh, you're talking about my mom. I hear her. She's in the woods." And it's like, that's clearly the witch. You saw your mom get murdered, but she still goes out there and she gets kidnapped.
Was this whole movie not leading up to that? The song powers the ooze. The song is how you turn the ooze on. Like, it feels like the whole time they're like, there's this song in your heart. Your mom taught you the song. Song's about your star, and your star will be there. And they're like, we need the little girl to, like, turn on the ooze. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, just sing your mom's song. And that's not how this happens, right? Like, the ooze just, like, eventually works or something.
I don't know how the ooze... How does the ooze eventually work?
I could not tell you. It just does.
And it's not by song,
through the force,
right?
Who knows?
I guess. Okay, cool. I was trying to piece together what was happening in this movie, and apparently nobody knows. So that's good by me.
Again, don't think too
hard about it.
Just
okay.
don't.
Again, like that's the kids thing. Like that's not the Star Wars thing. That's just the kids' entertainment.
I
just
understood.
Like,
yeah.
It doesn't work, and then it works, right?
Yes.
So.
But don't you think the song would have been like the good, like, that's the trigger?
Sure.
How did they not see this? You're leading me to it the whole movie.
That feels more like a holiday special than a kid special, though. That feels like feels like more like the Star Wars holiday special.
Okay.
I do like that, like, so there's this main villain, Tarak, Terak, who is just like, without spoilers for Alien Romulus, there is a creature in that is played by a person. It's not CGI. It's played by, like, the 7'6" basketball player, and it's super cool.
Taco Fall?
Is it?
I don't know. I just saw Taco Fall yesterday standing next to Shaq, and he's really fucking tall, so I was guessing it was Taco Fall.
No, it's Robert Bobrovsky.
I don't know who that is. Okay.
He's a Romanian former basketball player.
Okay.
But in this, there's Tarak, who is like the main bad guy who is like trying to get the witch to get Sindel to use her magic to make the thing work. But that's also just a 7-foot tall guy who's just like on set. Like I just like that instead of, whether it's then or now, instead of being like, here's a puppet or here's CGI or whatever, just like, no, let's just get a really tall dude and put him in a suit.
Yeah. I mean, makes sense to me. Might be cheaper, might not be cheaper, who knows?
It was also so fun. Like, my favorite moment in this movie is the witch brings Sindel back, and she's just like, make it work. And the girl's like, I can't. I don't have magic. I'm just a girl. And so then the guy throws Sindel in prison and also throws the witch in prison. She's like, I don't care. But it's also like, you're a witch. Like, how are you going to get trapped? You can become a bird. You can become other women.
He took her ring off, remember? He's like, no magic, witch.
I know,
then he's
but
like,
still,
prison
like,
for
it just
you.
feels like you would have other tricks up your sleeve, but I don't know. But I just like that she's like, well, I'm in jail now, too. And, like, later is almost getting broke out, and Sindel like, no, she's bad. Don't let her out.
Yes. Yeah. And then they
That was my
throw the
favorite
keys.
moment, though.
Then they throw the keys down the sword, which also doesn't matter.
There was also that weird point where, like, Sindel's in jail and talking to the witch lady, and Sindel's like, I just lost my family and I'm sad and that's it. And the witch is like, oh yeah, that did happen. That is sad. Maybe we are doing bad things. And then the movie just went on for the next hour.
And then we get to a point where, like, they decide to use the budget for the movie because there's somehow, like, dozens of people on screen. There's, like, dozens of, like, bad guys chasing dozens of Ewoks, and there becomes, like, a big sort of battle. And maybe this is the repurposed Jedi content. I don't know what, but it feels like all movie long it was just a bunch of people having fun in the woods, and now it's like, oh, we're kind of making a movie now.
Yeah, the battle for Endor is a deceitful name.
It's not really a battle that happens. No.
It's a little scrum that happens in the woods, and like I don't think the planet was at stake at this point. It doesn't feel like the planet.
No.
The ooze was at stake,
right,
but not the planet.
Yeah, the battle for Ooze though doesn't roll off the tongue as well.
It's literally called The Secret of the Ooze, and it's a great movie. Jeez.
Does it have minions? Are minions in it?
No, there's no minions in Ninja Turtles. It's a tasteful cartoon.
Are the turtles the minion equivalent, or is there something even more minion-y than turtles?
I don't know. We'd have to ask Wes. I don't know. What is the minions? Might be the giant, like,
no, it can't be giant. That's
the mutant.
It has to
but
be
the
little.
mutants.
It has to be
the
little.
like moron mutant things in Secret of the Ooze. The hybrid turtle. You know what I'm talking about?
It needs to be little, though.
I know. I don't think that there's an equivalency in turtles that I can.
It might just be the turtles.
The pizza are the minions.
The
pizza.
So here I have the most important question. I've been saving this all episode.
Please.
is this a happy ending?
No. It's like this movie is just like sad. If you think about it, it's just sad.
So what happens is the good guys win, evil is vanquished.
Wilford Brimley turns the villain to stone, which I went to take a note and completely missed how it happened.
It's a little like red crystal that he throws at him, and like it vaporizes.
Just
that wicked. Well, yeah, because so that's a deleted or repurposed moment in the movie. Because in the original on tape, Sindel shouts out like, "Do something, Wicket. Use your slingshot." That's the original line. They changed it. They edited it. So she just says, "Do something, Wicket. Do something." And then he shoots him with the slingshot thing anyway. But I think it was because they didn't want a kid saying, "Shoot him." Like,
makes sense. That's a good point. We should consider those things nowadays.
Yeah. I don't know why they changed it, but that's my assumption. That would be my assumption, is they don't want a child saying, "Hey, maybe commit murder, though."
Have you thought about murder?
I don't think, Joey, that this is a happy ending at all. I think it's ultimately like the saddest way this could end.
So good triumphs over evil, and
yes,
Noah, Wilford Brimley, takes Sindel on his Star Cruiser, which is now working.
And it's like, fuck off, Ewoks. Like, we're not taking Wicket with us.
Leaves
Wicket's
all the
not
Ewok
staying.
and leaves Teak, his buddy, also stays behind. And Sindel is like, the last shot of this movie is Sindel crying as the spaceship door closes and flies off.
Yes.
She's leaving all of her friends on the planet where her entire family was murdered a few days ago.
She's an orphan, and she only gets to hang out with her brand new friend, Wilford Brimley.
Her brand new grandfather. Mm-hmm.
I
was amazed at, like, in the movie, as we're in the forest, there's no plot yet. Like, there's just entire days that go by. They're like, well, we're going to have soup today. And then they go to bed again. I'm just like, no, you don't. It doesn't need to be a new day. Like, you could just do other stuff. They're like, no, we're going to bed again. I'm like, how would...
They're depressed.
I get it, but still...
I think that you have to. I think that it's more complex than that. I think that you're introducing child problems, which is sharing your bedroom with somebody visiting, and how that's probably like the most conflict you encounter as a child. I mean, minus your parents getting murdered instantaneously and you being an orphan. We address both major childhood problems in George Lucas's mind, which is sharing your bedroom and orphaning yourself.
You think they're on equal levels, losing your entire family and sharing a bedroom?
When you're a child, you have no perspective, so yes.
Okay. Heather, you need to keep with a grain of salt that Joe apparently, like, acts like he's never been a child. Like, somehow not only has no concept of, like, what children's entertainment is like today, but also has no concept of, like, being a child.
No. I think
which is why he's exactly the right person to write a high school movie, because it's like, that's all written by, like, 50-year-old dudes who, like, have never met a child.
No, but I was reminded of that because I saw, like, a tweet that, or it was, I don't know, in one of the baby hating groups that I'm in. It was like, whenever like a child is really upset because this is like the most, like the craziest, like the reaction is that like this is the strenuous thing in their whole life. It's because it is, and that's true, right? So like when you're 4,
because you have no context for anything.
It's not, like I spilled this glass of water, tears, because like that's the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to you. So like sharing your bedroom could be the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and your parents dying could be the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and you have no concept of like where these lie. So I think that they are kind of equal to a small child. Like, it's just like shit happened. I don't know, but like eventually, like now we're like, these are vastly different fucking things, but like at 4 might be the same thing.
The one other note that I had that I really liked is Teak using his speed again. Like, there's like the two like jailers playing poker, and like he uses his speed to make it look like one of them's cheating, and they both like kill each other basically, or like knock each other out somehow. I'm like, that's all right.
Yeah,
but they're bad guys, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Heather, do you have any other notes or any other thoughts about Ewoks: The Battle for Endor?
It's a perfect film.
Why is there a bone hang glider?
Why not?
Why do we go bone hang glider?
Why not?
Well, the's also a dinosaur there, though. I think that's
like a dragon. Kind of it's a condor dragon, I believe it's what it's called.
And does he make? Okay, I did love the construction of the bone hang glider, but the hang glider is made from body parts of his dead friend.
Yeah.
The other The other condor dragon. Yeah. That's terrifying. Imagine you come home and like you
know Ewoks are cannibals, right? Like that's their whole thing.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They eat each other.
They eat humans.
Well, is that a cannibal? Are you a cannibal? Or are they just meat eaters?
Well, they eat other sentient things.
Is that the definition of cannibalism?
No, but it's just referred to. They're called cannibals because they're human adjacent. I don't know.
No, you just had me thinking about like what is actually cannibalism to me only means humans eating humans, but they eat humans. So that
it's anything
sense.
that eats its own race.
Yeah.
Eats its own race. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, what was I? Oh, I was gonna I'm reading the comments on the YouTube video for the, I guess, TV commercial. Maybe it's a trailer, but whatever. But Jonathan W1019 says, my VHS of the original broadcast premieres for this and Ewok Adventure, including commercials, is one of my most prized possessions. It's like a time capsule like no other. Thanks, Dad. Which is, like this movie, if we just like buy this Happy Meal for $1.99 or whatever, be like, yeah, that rules. Like that's really good. Like that's what's missing.
I think the commercials would have done great service to this, and I can't wait until we have the day that someone a la like Larson like unearths like all of these VHS copies, and you can now buy the VHS copy with the original commercials, and that's like a feature on your Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's missing like tracking lines. You know what I mean? Like I want it to look shitty and have commercials and
yeah. Like I can't wait till it's like instead of commentary track, you can watch it as like shitty VHS that you downloaded off or like you stole from TV.
Jody, have other thoughts, other notes about Ewoks?
I cut all of my notes in minus them just randomly being squatters, and I thought that was kind of fun.
Yep.
So you just like, can you imagine like if like this guy fucked off to a different planet? He's trying to work on his thing. He comes home one day and everybody's just in his house just fucking around. I'd be like, get the fuck out of my house. Yeah. Like, I understand him being like, I don't want them here. Leave. Beat it.
Let's watch the trailer. Again, this might be, it's a minute and a half, so it's longer than a commercial, but this is Ewoks, The Battle for Endor, 1985 trailer, Wilford Brimley, Warwick Davis. Posted 7 years ago by Trailer Chan.
Oh, you're playing it for us. Cool.
Yes, I'm going to share the screen. All right, are you guys ready?
Perfect. Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
Did you just count yourself down?
I need to know when to start the audio, so yes, I did.
A family of lost travelers find shelter and friendship among the Ewoks, peaceful guardians of the forest. But the peace is shattered.
G for general exhibition.
Sweeps the planet Endor, threatening the Ewoks' very existence.
Run fast, run.
And a courageous Earth child is left orphaned, hunted by the cruel armies of an insatiable warlord.
Oh, I like the ribcage jail.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be foolish. Do what he says.
It's a breathtaking adventure.
That bad guy kind of looks like Sean Connery and Zardoz.
And treachery.
Yes.
There's no escape for you, my little one.
But
this is horrifying. Like if you're a kid.
And a speedy sidekick join forces with the Ewoks. Their mission: penetrate a fortress of death and rescue their friend. It's a
fortress of death.
Penetration.
Of a demented tyrant. From the creator of Star Wars comes a dazzling adventure, a timeless fable of courage and conflict.
I don't know if this is from George Lucas.
And unspeakable evil, featuring Wilford Brimley and the visual mastery of George Lucas. Take a journey to the far reaches of your imagination. Ewoks: The Battle for Endor. Coming to your family from MGM UA Home Video.
Incredible.
Okay.
I don't think it looks that scary for kids because I think that like we said, Heather, like your
kids don't. Yeah, kids are just like, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's your conditioning. You're like, Ewoks were cool. We saw them before. They're good guys. We will see this.
No, I mean the bad guys. I mean the bad guys look terrifying. The Marauders, like that guy, like he's fucking horrifying.
But we also have discovered by watching more of these movies that like there was some terrifying shit
like
for
Labyrinth
kids.
And like all of that. Like
yes.
It's horrifying.
It's all terrifying for kids. Like I was like, make kids scared again. Like I need them to bring this back. We need more terrifying entertainment for children.
So you're saying Mikka?
Yeah, Mikka.
Mixa.
What if we put it on like a hat?
Ooh. What color hat would it be? What color hat would it be?
Red.
Okay.
Duh.
Okay.
It's most scary for children.
Yes.
Red,
I
scary
don't
hat.
disagree with that.
All right, good luck. I have no idea how this is going to go, but for the Letterboxd game, so for reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular
It's now
films
on Disney
Letterboxd.
Plus, you said. Okay, that's good. That's helpful. I don't know how helpful, but that's helpful.
2.1 million people have viewed it. Ewoks, The Battle for Endor, directed by Ken and Jim Wheat, starring Wilford Brimley, Warwick Davis, Aubrey Miller, and Sean Phillips, has been seen by how many people?
3.
Okay, so
3, okay.
you said 3.
Sorry.
I'm gonna factor in some things. My logic here is that it's on Disney Plus. There's probably a lot of people that will watch anything Star Wars. How much they overlap with the Letterboxd nerds, I don't know, but I do think that Star Wars is timeless enough that people will go discover it and expand into the extended universe. There's a huge following.
Whenever Joe has one of these ramp ups, I'm like, are you gonna be really close or really far off?
Way off, yeah. I still don't think it's that many because it was a TV movie and it's Ewoks. It's not really canon. Let's go start at 30,000.
And Heather said 3. In between those two, a
Thanks.
number between 3 and 30,000.
Well, Price is Right rules. I win.
You do win. But
You do win.
Let's
You
guess
win.
again.
We'll give you the win.
Okay.
Now you can go for the second showcase in the showcase.
33. No, I'll go for 3,000. That's what I'll go
3,000.
for 3,000.
Okay.
I still think it's a little. I think 23,000.
In between, one more guess, between 3 and 23.
13,000.
Okay.
My first real original guess. My first real original guess is 17,000.
18,581.
I still win. No, you got 17. You win. Damn it.
Yeah, sorry.
But he was over, under. So you won 2 out of 3.
It's true, I did.
I expected a little bit more because of like what I was saying, like my logic. I think that like I thought that I don't know. I have no concept of how popular anything is in Star Wars. Like you tell me this could have been like the most popular spin-off ever in Star Wars, or like everybody hates it or everybody loves it.
Again, it's one of those things I think where if you watched it live, right? If you watched it when it came out, especially as a kid, you loved it. But if you didn't, or if you were older, it's almost that like jaded kind of, oh, this is stupid, whatever. There's no lightsabers in it, right? There's no Jedi, so it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. I didn't factor that in. Yeah, the no Jedi thing is big.
Yeah. So like, what's even the point? So I think, yeah, it's almost become a meme, I think, in the Star Wars community, like the idea of this movie.
I'm glad I watched it for that reason. I'm more fascinated by Star Wars fandom and like those aspects of it. No, I'm just like I know their toxicity problems, but I'm just more fascinated by them and like what the because it's such a big group and it's so passionate and they seem to all be so insistent on their perceptions and wants and likes. And this is my perspective as someone who has no idea what the fuck's happening, and so just seeing it and just knowing like if it's memed or if people love it or people hate it or if it's divergence and like some hate it and some love it. It's like it's so much fun for me just to be like, what is going on in this world that I'm not a part of? It's like hearing somebody like speak a different language. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is happening here? And should I be excited or sad about it? Just tell me. I'll join you.
Yeah, I'm just making them make Kids Scared Again hats. So I wasn't listening to saying.
Are you really?
I mean, it's not good, but
Is it gonna be on the shop? Are you gonna put it in the shop?
No, 100% not.
Why not?
But here it is.
Amazing.
Yeah, we should sell these. Put them in the fucking t-shirt shop.
You know what this actually would go well with?
What?
The shirt from, oh god, what Wolfman Has Nards. It's Monster Squad. Stephen King rules. That shirt with the Make Kids Scared Again hat.
Ah, yes. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah. We should make kids scared again. I'm sick of pandering to their soft emotions. We need to harden them early.
You don't interact with children ever.
Nope.
So you don't need to pander to anybody. All right. Average rating of 2.4, most common a 2, then a 3, then a 2.5. How many of those 18,500 have Ewoks, The Battle for Endor in their top 4 favorite films of all time?
3.
Good,
Okay.
Good guess. Honestly, good guess. The memery thing, I think
I will say you are much closer this time than last time, Heather.
I think that there has to be some people that know there's a part of Star Wars fandom that seems to be coming out that is like laughing at the other Star Wars fans. So I think that some people have it in their top 4 as a meme, as a joke to piss off someone else. So I think that maybe I'll start at like 20.
In between, another guess.
6.
Between 3 and 20. 6, Joe?
17 again.
In between, one more guess.
8.
15.
It's 8.
Nice.
And Joe,
Good job, Heather. Dead
I looked
on.
at all 8 of them. None of them are ironic. They're all like basically except for
Okay,
the one
so
we're
see,
doing,
that threw me off. I thought
every
there'd be
single
some
other one-
ironies.
Okay.
Okay.
Every other person I looked at basically had the other Ewoks movie.
So
and
I
then at
blame
least one of
Heather
the Star
for my
Wars.
high guess then, because the memery thing quote led me to believe that there'd be some irony.
People take favorite movie lists very seriously, Joe.
No, we play a lot of Letterboxd game. I don't think that they do. Some do, some definitely don't. Because it's like 3 amazing films and then like Shrek a lot of the time and stuff like that. So yeah,
We're going to Jen Jamily at Jen Jamily, who their number
Great
3
name.
of all time is Star Wars Battle for Endor. Number 2 is, Heather, your growing up favorite Star Wars movie.
Return of the Jedi.
Correct, number 2.
okay.
Number 1 and number 4 are also from the 80s, one of which, Joe, if you'll remember, is the next movie we're doing for the main feed, The Last Pick by Josh and Michael. And then
Nope,
another one
I don't remember, and
is
I'm not
one
gonna
that
cheat.
fits- Okay, so what is the number 1, and it's not a movie that we've covered, Brian has covered on his show. What is the number 1 80s adventure kids movie? Kids going on an adventure.
Goonies.
Goonies, number 1.
Okay.
Number 4 is the next movie you're doing, like the next main pit stop on the main feed. Also on Disney Plus. I'm going to try to get Heather to guess this, because, Joe, I don't know if you know this movie. I mean, you might, but, like, Heather, to me, this feels like a Star Wars thing, but it's not. And there's a new series
Willow?
in this world. Willow. It's Willow.
I'm going to be honest.
Wow.
When you said I'm going to try and get Heather to guess this, because I don't think Joe would. I in my head I was like, it's Willow.
Like, Willow feels like Warwick Davis also in that, playing Willow, I believe, right? The digital character of Willow Ufgood. Oh boy, that's 2 hours and 6 minutes long. How is that movie that long? Oh boy. Okay.
I've never heard of this film before, by the way. And I didn't
but
remember we were
Willow,
doing it.
I've never seen it, but it always felt like, oh, that's like a standalone Star Wars thing, but it's not. But it just feels like is that accurate-ish, Heather? Like, it feels, or from afar, seems Star Wars-y? It's like about magic, right?
I see why you would say that for sure. I mean, it's made by the same people, so
Same people in what sense? Like writers, directors,
George
or like
Lucas
it's
is
George
producing it.
Lucas.
Okay,
Like, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. And
He did the stories
ILM
and
and
produced it,
yeah.
Yeah. And it's also 80s. It also, like, fits right in with
Makes
what we've been
sense.
covering
Yeah,
here. Yep.
yeah.
But yeah, so Jen Jamily, Goonies, Return of the Jedi, this, and Willow. Boy, we have a lap for you, Jen Jamily.
Yeah, you need to like write to Jen Jamily and be like, do you want to hear 2 episodes about these movies? Josh Buckley needs to contact Jen Jamily and be friends.
Yeah.
Josh, there you go. Go friend Jen Jamily on Letterboxd and tell them that they have excellent taste in film.
Heather, thank you so much for joining us and lending your
Thank
Star.
you.
I mean, we needed to break the seal with Star Wars in this podcast in some form, and what better way than with Ewoks:
2.
The Battle for Endor.
2. Ewoks 2.
Ewoks 2.
The minions at it again.
Thank you,
Damn
Heather.
it. I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back.
You know what's the worst is you're gonna be like working on something and it's gonna be like, oh, we're adding Ewoks, and it's gonna be like banana, and you're just gonna think it.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I won't.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for me because I've never seen anything with a minion in it. So
I love them little yellow guys.
well, why don't you marry him?
That's the boomer meme that like whenever because like they use minions in all their memes that'll be like
I
my
wouldn't know.
grandma
I'm
died,
not.
and
I'm
it'll be
not a
like, "Happy-"
boomer. I wouldn't know.
I get all the memes from the hate groups. See, the boomer hate groups give me all the good minion memes, and
Yeah.
and they do. And they like so it'll be like, here's my grandma, and she'll post a thing, and it'll be like a minion, and it'll be like, Joe Biden is senile, and you'll be like, what do these things have to do?
You and I live on 2 very different corners of the internet.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Yes, we do. Very different corners.
Heather, what do you want to promote? Where can people find you? New comics, new other things, new other creative endeavors? What do you want our listeners to find you online?
You can find me at Heather Antos on all of the things. I will probably be coming to a comic book convention near you.
I love watching your comic book convention tour. I appreciate all your pictures and fun times. I see them and I get really excited that you're in new Fun Time Comic Cons. So
Yeah.
I'm a fan from afar.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, so traveling about. Hope to have my online shop open by the end of the year, so you can get some cool stuff there. So check that out.
What are you gonna sell there? Drawings?
Yeah, I'm gonna have
what?
art, books, fun little knick-knack merch things. So, yeah.
Let us know when you open
I
it,
will.
please.
I will.
Well, thank you once again for joining us. Joe, our next episode is Life in the Fast Lane. Our next movie is Fast 10. And then, like I said, our next pit stop is Willow. That'll be in 3 weeks. But next week is Life in the Fast Lane. So if you've not gotten an email yet, if you want to get an email, we will read on that episode. Email in family@cageclub.me.
I was surprised that we didn't get an email from Josh that was like why he picked this or like what he loved about it. You know what I mean? But yes.
Well, they picked all out. Why would they start sending emails now?
No, but because this one's like, fucking.
Well, we're
the
going to talk
second Ewok
tune-up.
movie, but we'll talk about that. Yeah, I'm gonna
that's
ask
also
him.
the thing. Yeah, that's also.
True. He did start first. I thought that too. Yeah.
I asked them the other day. I was like, "How old are you guys?" Because like this movie more so, I'm just like, did you grow up with like watching this on TV? And like that made me think because like movie stuff, it lives on. But like we were saying before, this is kind of hard to find. Who knows?
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to them and Cassie Wilson, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, and Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato DiDonato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport, Jason Rainey, Tom Price, Mike Gallagher, Josh Buckley of Whole Lot of Wolves, Christian Larson, Tara New One, Aaron Willozin, Natalie Absolute, Randy Carter, Josh Gularm, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above. And for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/Too Fast, Too Forever, or at Too Fast, Too Forever. On all the same places you find Heather. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at toofast2forever.com. And come back next week for a Life in the Fast Lane, our final deleted scene from Too Fast, Too Furious.
Insane.
I'm Joey Lewandowski.
Joe too.
And that was Heather Antos, who has the right opinion about the best Star Wars movie, and we will tell you all about it
when we see you again. Minions.